guys, Miss Kenny here again. This is your lesson for Tuesday, September 29th. Again, make sure you are logging into Zoom, checking Schoology for updates because I do record these in advance. So I don't actually know what will be happening on Tuesday, September 29th, but I am hoping that we are in school and I get to see some of your faces. Today we are going to be talking about, yesterday we talked about parallel and perpendicular slopes, and so we know that parallel lines have the same slopes and perpendicular lines have the negative reciprocal. You just flip the fraction and you change the sign. Today we're going to be adding on to that and using that information to help us find equations of the line. And we're going to be using point slope form. And you did do this in Algebra 1. You might not remember it, but that's okay. It's actually for me, I think it's one of the easiest formulas. And it's called form, but it's actually a formula. But point slope form is one of the easiest formulas that I think there is out there. So I think you guys should find this pretty easy. And we'll work our way up. So we're going to start just an intro to point slope form and then work our way up using it in parallel and perpendicular lines. Make sure again that you pause your Netflix movies and go ahead and focus in on these notes real quick and then practice the problem. So this assignment for today is going to look a little different than in the past. I'm going to give you a worksheet after you watch the notes. So it's 2 pages. You can print it or you can just do it on a separate sheet of paper, but I want you to try most of these problems, and then I'm going to post the answer key so you can check your answers. So it's not a grade, but I will tell you at the end of the week you're going to have a grade, and if you don't know how to do this correctly, it's going to bite you in the butt. So make sure you try. I would at least try the evens or odds or something. The more practice you get, the better you're going to be at it. And I'm going to show my work on the answer key so you can kind of see where you might have gone wrong, but at least try these problems, okay? All right, so I'm going to flip the camera over. We're going to go ahead and start our notes for the day, okay? All right. There we go. All right, so this is 9/29, Tuesday, 9/29, and we're going to do more parallel and perpendicular. With point slope form. All right, so point slope form. Here's the formula. It is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And so this is really useful if you're given the slope. So you're going to have these 3 things. You're going to have the slope, you're going to have y1, and you're going to have x1. If you don't have those 3 things, you can't use this. But normally I'm going to give you a problem where you will be able to find those 3 things. So the first thing, we're going to do examples. Like I said, we're going to work our way up a little bit. So example 1, find the equation of a line sorry, I messed up. That passes through and if I was at school, I would ask you to give me a point. So let's do -2, 8 and is parallel to y equals 6x minus 4. All right, so again, if I go too fast, pause it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm looking at this. Since I know that we're kind of using this, I'm going to ask myself, do I have x1 and y1? That is just a coordinate pair that goes through the line, which is this right here. And then do I have a slope that is parallel? Do I have a slope at all? Well, if I know it's parallel to y equals 6x minus 4, parallel, we talked about yesterday, means same slope. So my m in this case, I might use a different color. So my m is the same slope here, which is 6. And then my coordinate point is negative 2 comma 8. And that is going to be your x1 and y1. And so I'm going to go ahead and plug in the formula. Y minus 8, because y1 here is 8, equals m6, parentheses, x minus, and then x1 is negative 2. So make sure you write that extra negative sign there. Okay, so what I like to do right away, I hate when I see two negative signs together. I know that if I see that, I'm going to change it to one big plus sign. So I just like kind of write over the two negatives and make it a plus sign. And so now we're going to distribute the 6. 6 times x is 6x. 6 times positive 2 is positive 12. Bring down my equal sign, bring down my y, bring down my minus 8. And now we want our answer to be in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. So all we need to do is move the 8 over. So I know because it's minus 8, the opposite of that would be to add 8. Now would I add this 8 to the 6x or would I add it to the 12? Well, this 8 doesn't have an x on it, right? So I couldn't add it here, I got to add it to the 12. And my final answer is y equals 6x plus 20. All right, let's try another example. That was example 1. Sorry, I forgot to write a 1 there. Example 2. Let's do find the equation of a line that passes through and I'm going to give you, let's see, 5, 7, and let's see, 4, negative 11. I was trying to get a nice example for us. I didn't want to make it too ugly. All right. So here's our problem. That's it. There's no parallel and perpendicular to this one. That's okay. I wanted to do a basic one just to make sure we got it. So I go back to my point slope form. If I need the equation of a line, my equation of a line is going to be, this has to look like y equals mx plus b. Well, one thing I know I don't have right now is a slope. But if we go back to our slope lesson, we can find our slope. So m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And so I can label these points x1, y1, x2, y2. So if I do that, y2 here is negative 11 minus 7 divided by what x2 is 4 minus 5. So negative 11 take away 7 is negative 18. And 4 minus 5 is negative 1. Two negatives give you a positive, and 18 divided by 1 is just 18. So now I have my slope. M is 18. So if I go back to this original form, I have M. Do I have an x1 and a y1? Well, yeah. Didn't I already label it right here? Now, honestly, in this case, you could use either point. It doesn't matter. But since I've already labeled it x1 and y1, and there's no negatives like that one, I'm just going to take it. Why not? So I'm going to use this formula up here at the top. I'll move it down a little bit. So I have y minus y1. So 7 equals m, which I found m, 18, parentheses x minus, and then it says x1. So x1 is, I labeled it 5. All right. So we are going to distribute. So 18 times x is 18x. And then 18 times negative 5. Now make sure you take the negative. Is negative, well, I know 10 times 5 is 50, and 8 times 5 is 40. So we get 90. Just use a calculator if you don't know what I just did. I just couldn't find my calculator. Equals y minus 7. Now again, we want it to look like y equals mx plus b. So let's move the 7 over here. Add 7, because it's opposite of minus is plus. Add 7. And I get y equals 18x. Now if I take negative 90 and I add 7, I'm going to have negative 83. All right. Let's do one more example. So I'm going to go to the next page. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite the formula on top. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Now again, you're going to get to use your notebook on probably the big test. So make sure you take really good notes. So y1, m, and x1. Those are the 3 that I need to have. So example 3. Find the equation of a line that passes through let's see. -2, -1. And is perpendicular to -2x plus y equals 0. All right. So this one has a few more steps to it. All right. So I'm looking here, equation of the line that passes through the point. So I know here this is going to be my x1 and my y1. So I have that. But do I have my slope? Well, I know it's perpendicular to this, but I don't even know the slope of this, because remember, it's got to be y equals mx plus b, and then the m would be your slope. It has to be in that order, otherwise you can't just say -2 is your slope, because it has to be in this order for you to say that. And so what we need to do is we need to take this equation and make it y equals. So how do I move the 2x over here? Well, because it's negative, I'm going to add 2x. So I get y equals 2x, and you can write plus 0 if you want. That just means your y-intercept, that would be 0. So you don't have to write it, you can. So the slope here is 2. But that's not the slope I'm going to use in my formula right now, because it has to be perpendicular to this. So remember, let's make it a fraction. So my new slope, new m, is flip it, put 1 on top, 2 on bottom, and change the sign, -1/2. So now I have m x1, y1. I'm just going to take a lot of room because this is going to be our last example. So I have y minus y1, so that's a -1. So I'm going to put another negative there. Remember, you can't leave it out. This negative is part of the formula. That part is part of the number. Equals my new slope, because it's perpendicular, is -1/2. Parentheses x minus, and then x1 is -2, and again we're putting another negative there. All right, now that we do that, we're going to make a big plus sign here and a big plus sign here, and we're going to distribute the -1/2. Don't let the fraction freak you out, okay? So -1/2 times x, you just put it together, -1/2 x. Now, negative times a positive here is going to be a negative when I do this right. And then you can just ask yourself, what is half of 2? Well, it's 1. Bring down my equal sign and bring down my y plus 1. I'm almost done. I just need to move the 1 over. So I'm going to subtract 1, subtract 1. Remember, you have to subtract it from this because this doesn't have x and that doesn't have x. y equals negative 1/2 x minus 2. That is your final answer. Okay, so go ahead and try that worksheet again. The more practice you get, the better you're going to do. If you're stuck on any of it, you can't figure out how I got the answer. If you find a mistake, because that's possible too. If you find a mistake that I make, come on Zoom, let me know, okay? But other than that, I will see you tomorrow. Have a great day.